Today, we're going to dive into something really profound, but also incredibly comforting, the idea of self-acceptance. And we'll be looking at it through the amazing wisdom of Kazuko Watanabe. She was a Japanese Catholic nun and an educator, and her insights have genuinely helped so many people find peace with exactly who they are. So, let's get started by talking about a feeling I think we all know a little too well. Oh, that little voice, right? It just kind of creeps into your head, that nagging feeling that if you could just fix that one thing about yourself, then you'd finally be happy, or you'd finally be worthy. Well, that feeling, that's the very heart of the internal struggle we're going to unpack today.
And this struggle, Watanabe actually calls it a war. It's not a war against anyone else, but this constant, just exhausting battle that we fight against ourselves.
You know the cycle. We get stuck in this loop of self-criticism, just replaying our mistakes, zeroing in on our shortcomings, and beating ourselves up over failures. But Watanabe says this is a war we literally can't win, because we're fighting the very ground we're standing on. So how in the world do you break free from that kind of misery?
So what's the escape route here? Well, according to Watanabe, it all starts by shattering this fundamental illusion we have about who we're supposed to be, this mirage of the ideal self.
This slide right here shows the huge distinction Watanabe makes, and it's a real game changer. See, on the left, we're taught to see our imperfections like a cancer, something alien and awful that has to be surgically removed to get to some perfect, flawless version of ourselves. But then, on the right, she offers this totally different way of looking at it. See your imperfections like a birthmark. It's not a disease. It's just part of you. It's part of your map. The goal isn't to cut it out. It's to accept it.
And this metaphor she uses just illustrates it so perfectly. Think about it. You can't just abandon the only house you have just because the roof leaks a little. No. You have to live in it. You learn to patch it. You make it your home, leaks and all. And it's the exact same thing with ourselves. We have to live inside our as-is self, instead of just dreaming about some perfect house that doesn't even exist.
Okay, so this brings us to a really crucial turning point. It's about shifting all that energy we spend fighting ourselves and instead using it to understand and accept our own nature.
And this is the famous Serenity Prayer. It was a real cornerstone of Watanabe's philosophy. And look, this isn't about just passively giving up. It's actually a super powerful framework for figuring out where to put our energy so it actually makes a difference.
Let's just break that down real quick. So, step 1 is serenity. Finding the peace to accept the things that are just fundamentally part of us. Then step 2 is courage, having the guts to work on the things we can actually change, like our bad habits or our outlook on things. And finally, and this one is the most important, is wisdom. The wisdom to tell the difference between the two. That right there, that's where true freedom begins.
Now, this all builds to what might be the most powerful and honestly kind of surprising idea in all of Watanabe's philosophy, this incredible strength that is hiding inside our weaknesses.
I mean, it's totally natural, right? We spend so much energy trying to hide our weaknesses or get rid of them because we see them as these embarrassing flaws. But Watanabe, drawing from some really deep spiritual traditions, asks us to consider a radical question. What if our weakness isn't the enemy we've made it out to be? This famous and totally paradoxical line from the Apostle Paul is what Watanabe points to as the key. For when I am weak, then I am strong. Okay, so how can that possibly be true? Watanabe explains that this isn't just some clever poetic line. The idea is that our limitations, our vulnerabilities, those are the very places where a greater strength can actually enter our lives, whether you call it God's grace, or resilience, or human connection. So it's not about becoming strong despite being weak, it's about finding a strength that is made perfect in that weakness.
So this kind of strength, it isn't about brute force or pretending you don't have any flaws. No way. It's the strength of empathy that you only get from knowing your own struggles. It's the resilience that's born from getting through hard times. And it's the humility that lets us connect with other people, and maybe with something bigger than ourselves.
And that brings us to the final, really practical step in all this. Just mustering the courage to simply be who you are, right here, right now. Your now self. Watanabe often talked about this concept from the theologian Paul Tillich. It's called the courage to be. And it's not about being fearless or being perfect. It's the courage to just say yes to your own life, with all its messiness, all its anxiety, all its imperfections. It's having the courage to just show up as you are, fully and authentically.
And that really is the biggest takeaway from Watanabe's work. Self-acceptance isn't waving a white flag and giving up on getting better. It's actually the complete opposite. It's this brave, active choice to finally stop the war with yourself, and instead to start living with a sense of gratitude for the complicated, imperfect, and totally unique person you already are.
So I want to leave you with this question to think about. Instead of seeing a flaw that needs to be fixed, what if you looked at your weakness as a teacher? What strength, what compassion, or what kind of wisdom is it trying to offer you right now?